Hey guys, it's Henry, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how you can manage your own email inbox using Make.com and ChatGPT, so you can save yourself 2 to 3 hours every single week on emails, and you can spend your time on more important tasks. This helped me in my own business to save sort of 3 to 4 hours every single week on repetitive emails that I had to manage previously. It was a lot cheaper than hiring a VA and having to train them to do it for me. I could outsource this to AI, and it would handle it all for me really effectively. So let's dive right in, and I'll show you how the system works. So first of all, you're going to use Make.com, which is an automation platform, and the AI layer we're going to use is ChatGPT. So I'm going to chat you through exactly what the different modules are here and how this all works. So module one is using Gmail. This works also with Outlook or different email platforms. Essentially, it's going to wait on a set schedule for emails to land in the inbox. Now, using Make's model, there isn't an instant trigger here, so you can't trigger this as soon as an email lands. It's got what's called a watch records function, which means that on a set schedule, it's going to wait, watch, and then see what's in the inbox and then go from there. The reason why I set this to every hour and not every kind of 15 minutes is it actually becomes quite costly on Make.com to do this if you are doing it every 15 minutes. It costs credit just to watch records. So just to kind of explain the differentiator there, if you're doing this with an instant trigger, then you wouldn't only basically use a credit every single time it triggers. With this system and the way that it doesn't have the function inside of Make.com to set this as an instant trigger, you just set your own interval that you want. So if you did it every 15 minutes, it would be cost you a credit every 15 minutes. So that's 4 credits an hour, which is essentially like 80 credits a day across 24 hours. Now, if you're on a free plan and you've only got 1,000, that means you're going to be eating up a big chunk of your credits just on essentially watching your email inbox, which is a complete waste of time. So I'd recommend changing the intervals to every hour, because then obviously you're only spending 24 credits, not the 80 that you would do if it was every 15 minutes. But it's totally up to you and how you want to do this. You could do this every 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever works for you, or even just once a day. It'll just crawl through the inbox and just manage it all in one go. But if you're like me, it's quite nice to have it on a regular cadence so you know that the emails are just being taken care of. So we set the schedule at regular intervals every 60 minutes to watch the email inbox, and it's going to look inside the email inbox and go from there, essentially. So it's going to trigger, look in the inbox and see what's coming in. Now, the next step is once it's got those emails, it's going to select the right label. So here's the role, task, and sort of context I've given the model. We're going to use ChatGPT 5 Mini for this because it's cheap, fast, efficient, and it's all included inside of Make.com anyway, so you don't have to pay token credits for this. The role you're going to give it is you're the world's best inbox manager, known for accuracy, efficiency, and speed. The task is to analyze the message that's come through in the inbox and determine which Gmail folder it should be put into. This should be categorized based under, essentially. So based on the subject, who it's from, and what the text body is, choose the most appropriate label from these options. Now, you're going to need to grab the actual label number for each inbox, just so it's really clear which one it is actually looking for. But I essentially break this down into admin, sales, marketing, finances, business growth, and essentially fulfillment, so client work. So you give it clear a differentiator of what those different labels are. So for example, is it admin? Is it a sales thing? Is it a marketing thing? And so on. Give it some specifics. I want to return only the label number. So for example, this specific label, if it is whichever one that is, fulfillment, with no additional text. So I just want it to return the label here. So I've given it some examples. So if there's a reminder for a networking event that I'm a part of, then that's just an admin. If it's got a notification, that's also an admin. If there's a billing update, then it's finances. If it's an email associated with kind of business development type work, then it's into the growth category. If you gained a new subscriber, that's a marketing thing. And if there's a Stripe payment notification, that's a sales thing, clearly. So by giving it those examples, it makes it crystal clear like what kind of things I'm expecting to go into each folder here. So that would be the first step. It's then going to produce an output here. So in the examples that I've just run, it's going to obviously take the emails in, and then inside of the output, the result it's given just here. So you know, cool, it's correctly identified which label it should go to, and it's shown exactly what that's cost. It's cost 1 credit for that one run. Next step then is go back into Gmail, and it's going to update the email labels. So you're basically taking the label it's just worked out based on the input data. It's outputted the correct label. It's now going to update that label inside of Gmail. So to do this, you're just going to select the message ID from this first module here inside of Make, and the labels to add come from this module here. The actual result that we're looking for, the result in this case is that label that it's just correctly identified. So good so far. So that's essentially what you want to do. You can also choose to remove labels at this stage, but for the case of this, obviously an email coming in has got no labels, so we just want to add the correct one to it. So at this point then, we've had the email, it's selected the label, it's given it the label, which is great. It then needs to check if an email reply is needed or not. So here's the prompt that I'm now going to give it. So it's now going to feed this into the next step, and it's going to be the role of your world-class virtual assistant for excellent email management, professionalism, and efficiency. So analyze this email to determine if it requires a reply back from the recipient. Again, so you've got the from information, who it's from, the subject, what it's about, and the body, the actual text itself. So consider these factors. I don't want it to reply to myself in my own email. So is it asking a question that needs an answer? So that would obviously require a draft response. Is it requesting information, an action, or a decision? Again, is it a business inquiry or important communication? And does it contain urgent or time-sensitive information? In other words, does this need to be responded to really quickly? So if it thinks, yes, it's asking me a question in this email, it requires a decision and it's got some urgency associated with it, then it knows that it actually does require a response. Don't respond if it's an automated notification, if it's an email from an account with a no reply in it. If you're just getting these kind of standard notification emails that aren't due to be responded to, then it will just automatically discredit that one. Emails that contain the word unsubscribe in the footer, because that's obviously coming from something that I've subscribed to, or it might be a sort of draft copy of an email I'm about to send. So we don't want to start drafting responses to those. Marketing emails, spam, don't want to respond to those, obviously. Confirmation emails, status updates, or emails that are asking for a phrase in the reply, such as reply chat for the link. Don't draft a response here. What you tend to find is that it starts to write out a super lengthy reply, whereas obviously you just want the word in those cases. And you may actually not want to reply to every single email that gives you the prompt to respond back with a word. Then return yes if the email requires a reply, and no if it doesn't. So nice and simple. So as you can see in the output here, the result for this previous email was no. And the reason for that is the email that, going back to this first step, I put through, there was actually a notification that came through an Airtable saying that an automation that had been set up hadn't worked properly. So I just kind of set this up to fire a kind of an issue inside of my own Airtable, which I'd made up. It wasn't actually an issue, and to see if this would actually work effectively. So what it's recognized here in this step is no, it doesn't need to reply, because ultimately it's just notifying me of some information. You're not going to reply back to the notification itself. Okay, next up, in the kind of reply needed yes or no, you can then set up a filter. So if a reply is needed using this router module, then it's going to send it on this path. If a reply is not needed, then it's going to send it down this path. Nice and simple. So inside of this filter, what you do is you just put a label of reply needed. The condition is in this module here, the result. The text operators are equal to, and make sure it's case insensitive, so it doesn't really matter whether it comes back in lower or uppercase. Yes, essentially. So yes, a reply is needed. It will send it down this path. On the not needed path, again, you want to label this as reply and not needed. The condition, again, is that the result is a text operator. It's equal to case insensitive. Again, doesn't matter if it's lower or uppercase. No, so no response needed. It will then send it down this path. As in this step, it said that no response is needed. It's going to send it down this path. And if a response isn't needed, then all we're going to do is basically mark it as read and move the email to that correct folder we've identified earlier. So pretty simply, what this step does is takes the email message from our first module, and essentially it just marks it as as read. So it just reads it for me rather than me doing the reading. Because if you don't do this step, it's going to send a load of unread emails into folders, and you've still then got to go back in later and go through and click read and so on. So this just kind of removes that step again for you. And then the final step is moving the email to the right inbox. So again, we take message from the first step, and the destination folder is again taken from this first email step, which was to basically identify the correct label for it. So although it tags it with the right label, it also needs to move it to the right label as well, so it's out of your inbox, so it clears it out essentially. So in this case, the email which was notifying me about an automation that didn't fire properly, which is that I've made up just for the purpose of this video, it's identified that no reply isn't needed, but it has recognized that it's an admin-based email. So it's gone down this path, it's marked it as read, and then it's moved it into the admin folder for me. Pretty simple stuff. Now, obviously, what I can then do is go back into these folders and have a look at the emails later, once a day. But it saves me having to do these manual steps of, does it need a reply? What's the reply going to be? And so on. Finally, then, if the reply was needed, it will move down this path. And this is where the final AI step is to basically draft a response. We don't want to send the response because we want some human intervention here, just in case, for whatever reason, it decides to either write an email that wasn't put in the right kind of tone of what we want, or perhaps it has decided to respond to something that in reality we probably wouldn't have wanted to respond to. You want this human intervention layer, so that it drafts the response for you. You can step in and make any changes in terms of wording, or just quickly check yourself that you're happy with the email being sent. That's quite an important factor. So text prompt for this step is, you're a world-class email inbox manager known for writing excellent email replies. Write a professional email reply to this message. So who it's from, email, subject and body, like previously. These are some of the specifics you might want to consider, but you can make this different if you want to. So the first thing is to put that it's critical to the success of our coaching business and directly impacts our ability to serve the right clients. You need this kind of what we call emotion prompts, because it basically highlights how important it is to get this right. So rather than doing a kind of substandard job, you're saying you're really good at this job and it's important that you get this right. Step 2, your accuracy directly impacts our client success and team's ability to prioritize outreach. 3, I really value your thoughtful analysis and making these assessments. 4, your role in responding to these inquiries is essential, and by accurately identifying the best bit, you directly contribute to the growth and positive impacts of our coaching. So that just means this is why it's so important. Like, let's make sure we get this right. Context, our coaching business specializes in helping online fitness coaching businesses save 5 to 10 hours a week with AI automation, so it knows kind of who your business is and what you do. And then here are some examples. So here's an example from a coach, for example, sending an inquiry. And then this would be the format of the reply that I want. So, hi name, thank you for your message. It's great to hear more about context of the email. Next step to book a discovery call. Example number 2, saw your Instagram post, you offer free trial. And again, so you're giving it examples of, this is the kind of thing that might be coming through, which would need a response. Here's exactly how to format the email and an example of what I would write in my own words. So it knows it's got the framework from which to work from. Finally, then, in terms of note, you want to provide only a simple reply. So you don't want it to be super lengthy or provide any other information. Don't include explanation or additional commentary. So just keep it simple. Just respond back to what it is they're asking for in simple language. If you're unsure of a reply, just draft a simple thank you message instead. So don't start creating an answer if you're not sure what you're actually looking to respond with. Never include personal information. Don't include a signature, as that will be automatically generated, and don't include the subject in the results. We don't want to kind of start adding in information to the main body of the email. So that would be the final step then in terms of drafting a response, and then it will have create a draft response section to finish with. Now we know it is requiring a response. We're going to send it to the email to come from in the first step. Our subject has been generated because it's the same email subject from our first step. We're just responding back to that email anyway. And then the text result from that previous step here is what's going to go into our text-based section here. So that's going to then draft the response inside of Gmail, and we can then choose whichever signature that we want from our own inbox manager. Specifically, we can choose to add attachments if we wanted to, but for the case of this, we're just going to keep it nice and simple. So that, in a nutshell, is how you would do it inside of Make, and this is the kind of system I'd recommend. So you want to have a watch section, you want to have a selecting label section, checking if a response is required, then if a response is required, making sure that you can draft a response nice and quickly. So if I just run a quick example, this is the previous one that we've just spoken about. This is the speed at which this can do this. So imagine the email just landed, it's checking it, it's checking for labels, it's checking for replies needed, and then it's read it and moved it into an inbox all within around 10 seconds per email. So imagine how much time that's going to save you on a week-to-week basis. Now, down below, you can click a link that will tell you all about how you can work with me. And alternatively, you can click on a link that's going to give you 14 daily emails to help you to retain clients for longer using AI.